Timestamp this. I need to timestamp this one. So we're recording this on Friday the 1st of May. It's just gone 25, nearly 20 to 8 in the evening here in the UK. Because we're going to talk expansion, we're also going to talk draft, so just in case any of those details come out before this episode or after this is published. So, at the time of recording, and I know this is really pissing you off, it's pissing you off. At the time of recording this, we do not have any details about the draft. No, we don't know the date, we don't know where we're going, and we don't know the current format. All we know for certain is the bank who organise are the gold plan winners, and they will have the first overall pick in this year's draft. And I have very just recently done and published the episode on the Golden Eyes winning the gold plan. I even got to have my first ever gold plan race episode! Yeah. You've been desperate to do that since the gold plan was introduced. I know, right? I've been right. Okay, I've been waiting for that, so I'm really happy. I'm really happy that I got to that. I know you're thinking that sounds sad, but this is our world, guys. This is our world. Okay, but there has been big news that could potentially affect the future when it comes to drafts. Okay, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And that could be a reason why the PWHL is so desperate to get to 4 teams now, because in a few years' time, you might not have the caliber to fill a 4 expansion team. So we're just going to go through that now. So, the NCAA is set to introduce a new rule. They are set to add a 5th year of eligibility for athletes, including women's hockey players. Now, the impact it will have on next year's PWHL draft could be dramatic, and it could be the final straw for the PWHL to continue their push for a 4-team expansion. So on Monday, the NCAA Division 1 Board of Directors directed the Division 1 Cabinet to advance on age-based eligibility, which will result in all NCAA athletes having a 5th year of NCAA eligibility. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't uni in the States 4 years? Yes, it's years. But obviously you could then do a master's degree. Oh, like out here in the UK, uni here is 3 years. And you don't have the option to do like a master's degree. That basically is what it is. So, yes, in America it's 4 years, but you then still have the option to do a master's degree. So if you're doing that, that's where you can then basically take your extra year of eligibility. So like what? Graduate degrees? Yeah, graduate degrees. Yeah, okay. So I was fairly confident that uni over there is 4 years compared to 3 here in the UK. Wonder if they get student debts. Probably. They probably do. Probably not as bad as us. So, currently, NCAA players have only 4 seasons of eligibility, although many recent graduates gained eligibility because of COVID. The decision will also have a significant impact on certain professional sports leagues that remove eligibility from players when they declare for a professional draft. Primarily, this is the case for the WNBA and the PWHL. Speaking speaking of the WNBA, we have just recently an episode where when I look at how their expansion works and how I think the PHL should follow suit. So go and check that out, guys, if you are WNBA fans. But, ooh, yeah. So the NCAA's rules impacting eligibility for women's hockey players have been called inequitable, and it will now force players to risk losing the extra season of eligibility to enter the draft after 4 seasons, or choose remain in the NCAA and hold off on their professional aspiration. While players who graduated this season won't be able to access that extra season of eligibility, those who graduate next season likely will. And that's where you could see it have an impact on the 2027 PHL draft. Because if a lot of players choose to take that extra availability, it's then going to have a knock-on effect on us, especially who knows how many teams will be going into that draft next year. The NCAA's release on that rule change states that the NCAA will maintain existing rules allowing 4 seasons at competition in 5 years of eligibility for student athletes competing in the 25-26 academic season, and the new rules are not expected to retroactively apply to student athletes whose eligibility is or will be completed by the spring of 2026. The changes could have significant impacts on the PHL's prospect pool over the next several seasons, especially as we also try and then compete with the European leagues, to try and get European players to come over here, which has been a bit of a struggle. Yeah, I mean, recent years we have obviously seen some players go back, like Emma Serberg, for example. She was with the Boston Fleet as their backup last year. Then this year she went straight back to Sweden because she wanted to try and get a roster spot on Team Sweden Formula Argentina. It worked. Yeah. So already we're competing with European leagues. Now we're gonna have this as well. That's just that's gonna be a problem. So, what does it mean for PHL? Let's see. So, as you know, the PHL wants to expand by 4 teams. It means the league needs 92 full-time players and another dozen reserves before the existing. Reserves beyond the existing pool. This season, there will be no impact to their draft crop. But if the league can't make it to their 14 goal this off-season, it could put a significant wrinkle in their plans. With all NCAA women's hockey players receiving an extra season of eligibility starting next season, it could encourage a large number of players to stay in the NCAA to finish their degrees or begin a graduate degree. It would create a 1-season gap where very few players declare for the draft. For most, the financial value of the NCAA scholarship, particularly with the opportunity to capitalise on NIL, is great than the value of rookie contracts in the PHL, where most first-year players will make less than $45,000 per season. It may not change things for either athletes who want to turn pro, but there will be some who access the extra season, meaning there will likely be a temporary reduction in players entering the PHL draft the next 2 seasons. That would be the draft in 2027, then the draft in 2028. Yeah, so that could be It could be worrying, but it depends on how many athletes do graduates. I mean, if a lot of athletes go to do graduate degrees, then we'll go a problem, because then the talent pool will then be a lot lesser than it could be. But if a lot of players actually get to the end of their college careers and think, actually, you know what, I'm done, I'm ready to go pro, then it should be fine. Yeah. If the PWHL does not get to 4 teams this season, it could be enough to force the league to hold off an additional season until the 2028-29 campaign. No, rather than the 27-28 to complete their expansion. No. I mean, we did talk about last episode about that pause button. Yeah, I then brought a point with the pause button. I was like, the longer we wait to get the 12 teams and hit the pause button, could that have then have a knock-on effect of how we then go to the next expansion round? Especially if we have to wait at least 4 years, maybe before we get another wave. It just man, I would not want to hit the pause button 29. Ideally, I want 12 teams by next season. Because then we can hit the pause button, and then the earliest you can then do the next wave would be after you renegotiate the CBA in 2031. If you have to then wait till 27-28, or even God forbid 28-29, then it just becomes a bit of a worrying game. You hit that pause button, and you then, oh god, a lot of markets come in and think, oh well, they're not interested right now. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we do this, look, yeah. Right, so 2027 is where the problem is, because that could be where you see the most drain. So if all players who recently completed their junior season enter next year, knowing they can play their 26-27 season as seniors and their 27-28 season as graduates, it could significantly drain the talent pool for the 2027 draft. There will still be players who choose to turn pro, as I mentioned. It all depends on who does and who does not want to do a graduate degree. But it's more likely that that group of players will be those who didn't plan to pursue graduate already. The 2027 PHL draft was set to welcome players including Joy Dunn. Actually, not this one. No. Yeah. When I made this, I was like, oh, me just like, not. Okay, right. So they got Joy Dunn, Kaylin Lamar, Eve Gaston, Ava McNaughton, Jocelyn Amos, Emma Pay, Kelly Gorbernordcom, Lainey Potter, Ava Murphy, Cassie Hall, and others to PHL. With these players now looking at the opportunity to stay the NCAA for an additional year, there's no telling what the 27 draft class will look like. But it still feels too early to think about it. We've not had this season. I know, but you gotta remember, lady, it was not long after last year's draft, everyone already started thinking about next year's because they could all see the massive talent that was already stacked up. Yeah, I get what you say though. Yeah, we've not been crowned a World Cup champion yet, guys. We've not been crowned as the World Cup champion yet, so it's a bit early to start thinking about 2027. But people do it. People do it. Not long after the edge draft, people then start thinking about next year's draft. We're like, really not going to give this draft class a chance yet. It's got the ice. But yeah. So it could push some of those players, if not all, back to 2028, which could be in turn another stacked draft. Yeah. The good news for some NCAA players who would otherwise have found themselves on the fringe of the draft, they'll now have a 5th season to continue their development in North America before being forced to fight for a PHL roster spot or attempt to claim one of the few spots overseas. Because there's going to be a lot of talent in this year's draft that isn't going to potentially get drafted. they could then be back this time next year and have a better chance to get in rather than with this time. Especially with that first round projected to be really stacked. Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, I've got one more paragraph to do. Okay. Whether the PHL likes it or not, the change to NCAA eligibility is coming without a change to the impact this declared for the PHL draft has an NCAA eligibility. The league is likely to experience a lag in their prospect pool following next season, with the need for a large incoming player cohort to satisfy expansion. It gives new importance to the PHL reaching their 14 targets now rather than waiting for next season. Yeah. So it is worrying. It is worrying. Because obviously a lot of the draft pool comes from the NCAA. A fair few of it does come from overseas, but not as many as you'd like. It's definitely not as many as the AHL. It's definitely not as many as the AHL. And some players who already were on PHL contracts can be swayed to go overseas. So, yeah, it's just, So, it is quite a bit of a worry there. Like I said, we've not even got to this year's draft yet, and we're already panicking about next year's draft, which is a bit concerning. It's a bit concerning, because we don't know what's going to happen. We just don't know what's going to happen next year. We don't. We do not know. We don't even know how many teams we're going to have going into next year's draft class. So it just, but I think it just, with expansion, it just makes it even more important to hit the 4 teams now. Maximize this draft class. This draft class has got enough for 4. Yep, this has got enough for 4. Maximize this year's draft class now. You hit that pause button on expansion. We come back to 2030s. By that point, the plan will be well ready for them for another wave. Where we do 2 or 4. It's a bit concerning because you've read out some really good names there, George, who could be really good PHL players if they were to then enter the league in 27-28. But how many of those would potentially think, oh, do you know what? Maybe I'm better off doing my 5th year and then going the following year. But like I said, it all depends on how many of them chose to take graduate degrees or not. Yeah, that's largely going to impact, because not everyone does a graduate degree. They may just do their standard mandatory 3 to 4 and then go and face the student debts. Yep. Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying not to worry about it right now. Yeah, because I just feel we don't need to worry about it right now. It's not going to affect this year's job. Yeah. I just feel, come back to me and say spring of 2027. Yeah. When we get closer to draft details for 2027's draft, that's when you would come back to me and ask, okay, how confident do you feel now about it? Yeah. Especially when spring is when we do get to the declaration window. Yep. It's normally March to May. It's the declaration window. Yeah. So that period, that's when we have to start thinking about, right, or is it going to be good or not? Yeah, that's when I say that's when you come back to me. Yeah. I am not worried about it right now. I'm not really focused. My focus is going on the remainder of this season, and then when we hit the summer, focus on next season. Yeah, that is my focus right now. When we get to the start of the declaration window for next year's draft, that's when you come to me and say, so you're saying sometime after Easter 2027 come to you and ask you about that? Yeah, right. Okay, so that'll be after March. Right. You don't know? Right. Oh, don't tell me Easter's in March next year. It's not. It's not. Is it really? No! Yeah. I'm just as pissed off about it as you two are. I don't like Easter being so early. I prefer it late. You know, because Thanksgiving is always end of November, so. It felt early this year. That's because this year was the first weekend of April. But Easter Sunday, 2027, is the 28th of March. Hold on. That means we're going to have to change our clocks. Oh shit, it will be, yeah. Oh god! Oh god, yeah! Because obviously we in the UK, we change our clocks on the last Sunday of March and October. So, oh bloody god. Oh bloody god. Right, yeah, so that's, oh Jesus. Easter seems to have gone back to what it was when I was a kid in primary school. It's either March or April, March, April. In 2028, April! Yay! In 2028, it'll be the 16th of April, so. Yeah, so that's fine. But no, so Easter next year is end of March. So, who scheduled that? So you're saying first week of April 2027, that's when we should start asking you maybe about whether or not you feel concerned. Yeah. If you two want to have doubts beforehand, go ahead. Yeah, obviously each of us is different. Yeah, it's each their own. But for me, I'm going to touch it with a barge pole until we get to, you know, those closing weeks of the regular season. Yeah, everyone starts thinking about who's going to be gold plan contention, all that. Yeah, that's when I'm going to start worrying about it. I'm not going to dare worry about it now. Yeah. But I do see the concerns it brings, and interesting on the next 2 years, so the 27 class, 2028 class, what happens there? Is 2029 going to be the next stacked draft class? Is that what we're looking at? Under these rules, it feels like it is, but it is. And at that point, you know, where will he be on the 5-year anniversary? Who knows? Yeah, who knows? Yeah. Well, 28-29 will be season 6. Oh, of course. But technically, yeah, it would be the 5-year anniversary of the league being operation. But as we know, sports leagues don't celebrate it by calendar year, they celebrate by seasons. So technically, 27-28 would be marking the 5th anniversary, but each their own, each their own. I always find it so confusing in sports about how they celebrate based on seasons, not by calendar year. It's like how this year the Wild have celebrated their 25th anniversary in 25-26 season when they began playing in 2000. And doesn't that make you feel so old? It does. It does. Oh, it does. It absolutely does. Like, where has that time gone? Oh yeah, it absolutely does make me feel like an old man. Yeah, so I do think it is a bit concerning, and I think I'm going with a lady. I think right now we don't need to focus on it too much, but going into, say, 2027's draft, that is when you start thinking, okay, who's potentially going to declare? How bad is the impact going to be? What's the state of play going to be when we get to expansion in 27? Potentially in 26, 27. Have we got the 14s in? If not, do we have to look at, okay, is it going to be 2028 or 2029? We adopted WNBA style, do that route. Yeah. But ideally with the league right now, you want to make the most of this momentum. You expand now rather than having to wait like 3 years down the line for the next stacked draft class. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a bit concerning. It's a tiny bit concerning, but we will of course follow this closely next spring. So when we get to spring of 27, that's when we'll start looking at it more closely. But we just wanted to bring that to you guys because it's a huge, major rule change that's going to come into effect next year, and it's going to have a knock-on effect on us. So yeah, yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Like I said, just to close off. Yeah, go ahead. It's all going to depend on graduate degrees. It's all going to depend on how many players want to take graduate degrees. And if they take graduate degrees, they will want that 5th year. If they don't, then fine, they can just jump straight in. But of course, because once you declare you lose your eligibility, it's a gamble that each player has to think about, and it's just Okay. Any more? Do I? No, I'm good. Okay. I'm good as well. Right, so thanks to all as always. Until next time, guys. Take care and don't forget to